Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, this is a little video again. Guess what I was watching last night? Totally out of the blue, totally what I didn't expect to watch. And I chose to put it on as well. I was in bed and I thought, we've got one of these old vintage little TV and DVD combo things. So this wasn't even watching on the big screen, the big movie screen downstairs with all the highfalutin speakers everywhere and 2 subwoofers. No, it was in bed, reclining. And I thought, what do I want to watch? And I plumped for Cat's Eye. The Stephen King 1985 anthology, only 3 stories in it. Directed by Lewis Teague. 2 stories are based on Night Shift anthology entries from Stephen King himself, and then 1 that Stephen King wrote himself, which is what we're going to talk about. And you know where it is, and because it's awesome. Intrada put out the full score for the movie, score by Alan Silvestri. I'm playing it now, and it's mostly purely electro on the synclavier. Alan Silvestri, we've discussed so many times. Predator, come on now. Delta Force, Back to the Future. I don't know if you're hearing there. He did Back to the Future the same year as this. He did Romancing the Stone. He became really, really well known. Suddenly he was on the map. And but this was purely, well, Delta Force was purely electronic. This is purely electronic. But it's got a very similar main fanfare anthem to Back to the Future. So, anyway, I was watching it last night. And yeah, the first 2 stories, I mean, guys, I'm not going to review the full movie because I can't be bothered. It's 3 stories connected by a cat, a tabby cat, a heroic tabby cat. Just going to hit the screen there to keep myself on the screen because, you know, I've got this ongoing problem with this phone at the moment. It ain't sorted yet. So anyway, this cat called General, this tabby cat, he goes on a cross-country odyssey all around the North America on bloody flatbeds of trucks, in cars, on trains. He's there. And he will arrive at the scene of 3 incidents. But he'll prove to be the hero as well. The big feline hero. First story is Quitters Incorporated with James Woods, the great James Woods, and Alan King playing this smarmy bastard. And James Woods wants to quit smoking, but the tactics by this company called Quitters Incorporated are really drastic. And the poor cat gets tortured with electric shocks. But then James Woods, if he relents to have a sly bifter, sorry, in my area we call smoking having a bifter. Having the bifters, I don't smoke, but so whenever he does stray from the path, something bad happens. And after we've seen poor General being electrocuted and General escapes, you'll have James Woods' wife will be electrocuted in a really, it's horrible because it's so funny at the same time. I know it sounds wrong. In this like electrocuted room, and she's dancing around because she's like getting jolts and she's dancing around, and it does kind of look funny, but it's genuinely horrific at the same time. The next story is The Ledge. With what's his name from Airplane? Robert Hayes from Airplane, who plays a tennis coach who's been knocking off this casino genius and mob boss wife. And I forgot the name of the guy that plays this portly, rotund casino mob boss, but he played Lord Harkonnen in David Lynch's 1984 June. So you know who I mean now. And he's got a penthouse suite atop this high rise. So look, I'm gonna let you have my wife and $100,000 or whatever hell it is. Like, if you can walk around the ledge, all around this penthouse, it's a narrow ledge, and my Christ, and it's at night time, and there's rain, there's lightning, there's thunder, there's all sorts. There's a particularly vindictive pigeon which is going after him all the more, pecking at him. And then when he falls off a ledge and then lands on another little gantry, rotund, horrible aggressor, puts a hose pipe on him and all sorts of things. But he does do this. He circumnavigates the penthouse, gets back in, and outsmarts the mob. And okay, we're going to be fine now for the rest of this duration. He shoots a gun at one of the mob's enforcers there, and he wins the day, sort of thing. But the cat has been an observer to all of this. I'm not sure what the cat does. Does the cat save him in any way? Do you know what? I watched it last night and I can't remember now. Because those two stories, as good as they are, and they're quite mean-spirited. When Cat's Eye came out first time and I saw it, I didn't see it cinematically. I don't even think it came out theatrically in this country, in the UK. And I got it, first time I saw it would be on VHS or Betamax. I was happily sporting both formats at the time. And I thought, that was shit, that. Apart from the story we're going to cover properly. But the first two, now having watched it again, they're actually really, really dark-hearted and mean-spirited and very aggressive. It's done in a bit of a spoofy sort of camp fashion, but the sheer vindictiveness of the Quitters Incorporated and their tactics they employ to make people quit their addictions, and this mob boss Casino Royale, in charge and trying to, put our hero through torture. It's really dark and very, very sinister and sly. But the cat is the conduit throughout all this. And this is the film which had so many Stephen King references. In the opening chase scenes where you see the cat running through streets, you see Christine is there, there's people reading Pet Sematary, there's a big St. Bernard dog, Cujo, there's a guy, I think James Woods is watching The Dead Zone on TV, and he said, who writes this shit, So you got loads of referential stuff in there, which I don't mind, because it's got that kind of heightened, jokey, hyper reality to it. And then we get on to the end story. Oh my god. This is the one, folks, yeah, with the little troll that's living in the skirting boards of poor wee Drew Barrymore's bedroom. Oh my god. Now, you could say this is a reference to The Shining because Drew Barrymore's character, Amanda, or in the credits just known as Argyle, but she's Amanda. The cat is hearing her calling to her, some kind of psychic conduit, like The Shining, like Danny Torrance calling out to old Scatman Crothers, from the Overlook Hotel, and he goes and he makes another cross-country journey, like the cat does. Only the minute he arrives back at the Overlook, he gets a pickaxe in his chest. Phew, that's it. What fucking good was he? After all that odyssey, that journey back, and driving a snowcat through the blizzarded mountains, and you get fucking sliced in the chest. What use were you, mate? But little Drew Barrymore is clearly using some kind of Shining-like ability to summon the cat, although she doesn't know she's doing it. It's a subconscious thing. So the cat keeps getting visions and hearing her voice. So he knows he's got to go cross-country to go and find this girl. Why? Because she's being plagued by nightmares. Nightmares driven by the thing that's living in her skirting board in her bedroom. And her mother, Candy Clark, I've said before, I've reviewed Blue Thunder and other stuff that she's been in. Candy Clark, with that really cutesy, big, ditzy grin on her face, I had a massive crush on her. Little sexy minx, love her to bits. Got a friend that looks just like her actually, but we won't mention that now. That's between you and me. And so shh, okay. But General makes it all the way back there, and Candy Clark, who plays the mother, doesn't like cats for one thing. So when General arrives and little Drew Barrymore is like all over this cat and like, oh, can we keep him? She's got a budgie in a cage in her bedroom as well. But the mother's like, no, you can't. They're savage, they're killers, and they steal the breath out of sleeping children. And her husband, so Amanda, Drew Barrymore's dad, is played by a fella called John Norton. I think it's John Norton, who played Burke in the TV version of Planet of the Apes, not long running, I think it lasted one season, but it was great. And he played Burke, who's one of the astronauts in the TV version of Planet of the Apes, and he's great. He's in lots of movies too, and other TV shows, and he's great. He plays the dad. But Candy Clark's mother is clearly some kind of Eastern European woman, because they're at the breakfast table. Well, why can't I keep General? General's so cute, he's so lovely, he loves me. No, you can't, because cats are dangerous. You know what my mother says? And he does this for you. He goes, yes, the cats, they creep upon the young girls and the children, and they suck the breath from the young ones to give them life. They take life from you. But this pisses off Candy Clark, because of like, don't take kindly to someone ripping the piss out of my mother's accent. So anyway, the cat's on like kind of like the cat's arrived in a nick of time, but also he's on a bit of an uneven sort of ledge with no pun intended to the previous story, with the mother. And the mother does spy him killing a bird. He creeps up in the garden and he takes out a little sparrow or whatever it is, and he's dragging it back into the bushes. It's like, yeah, you little fairy killer. Yeah, I knew what you were like. But we have got a real troll living in the skirting board, designed by the great, but also could be haphazard special effects wizard from Italy, Carlo Rambaldi. Carlo Rambaldi, who designed a lot of effects for King Kong, for Dino De Laurenti, who produced this movie, Cat's Eye, Dino De Laurenti. Dino De Dum Dum, as many of us know him from the 80s and even earlier, to be honest. But a real mover and shaker within, Hollywood, and a uber producer. He produced this, and legend has it he approached Stephen King and said, I love these stories with these scares. I love these scares, these stories and these scary beats. And like, Stephen King, who was a complete crack fiend at the time, would be like, the fuck are you on about, you spaghetti eating motherfucker? You're going into one of my stories. I'm going to make you some kind of big, giant, slobbering dog. But a deal was struck, and Cat's Eye, directed by Lewis Teague, who directed the film adaptation of Cujo, and he also did Alligator. Alligator, wow, one of the best monster movies of the modern era. And you can't even call it a modern era, it was like 79, 1980 when that came out. But it's fucking awesome. What a great movie that is. So Lewis Teague had cut his teeth on creature features, terror, and Stephen King as well. So he knew his stuff. And this tale, it's filmed magnificently. And I have forgotten the guy who did the filming. Was it Roger Deakins? Someone's going to say, no, it wasn't Roger Deakins, you fool. But it may have been. But the cinematography is gorgeous. It's proper, pure 235 widescreen, and great anamorphic sort of framing taking place. Beautiful shots, marvelously composed. So you're hearing some of the dynamic music that Silvestri puts in, and we're going to come on to this because I'm going to play the entire bit of music for our troll sequence, the final sequence, final story. So the cat's got there. The mother has seen the cat kill the bird. That first night, little Amanda, Drew Barrymore, begs the cat can come and stay. But no, the cat's got to go out. So she flings the cat out. But the little troll bastard comes in, designed by Carlo Rambaldi. Sorry, I know I went off on a tangent there, but let's go back to Rambaldi again. He designs a really horrific little bastard. He is only little, but he's got a face like a fucking squashed turnip with loads of fangs. He's a bit like a critter with the fangs there. He's got a little horrible sort of pissy coloured, turgid jester's hat on with little bells on the end. He's got a sort of medieval sort of jerkin on, leggings. He's got little horrible feet with little claws, and he's got a little sword, a little tiny sword. Well, it's a sword to him, but it's a little tiny toothpick to the rest of us. And he's in there, and it's fucking horrible. His eyes in the darkness, they glow red as well. But it's a mask, and there's also an animatronic puppet as well. But the vast majority of what you see, that troll, and you see it a lot, it's a man in a costume, and his name, I wrote it down and I left the paper in the other room. I think his name is Daniel Rogers, I think. Daniel Rogers. That's Rogers with a Rodgers. Daniel Rogers. And he's like a stuntman playing this character. So even though Carlo Rambaldi gets the creature design by Carlo Rambaldi, he's just designed a mask, really. The animatronic is barely ever used, but it's all like optical, visual effects, where they've got like the bedroom set of Amanda's room. It's huge scale, like Borrowers style, and you see this guy in the costume running around, and he's climbing up, onto the bed. You've got chairs, you've got stuff, you've got a record player, you've got all sorts of stuff there, which are outsized to him. But it looks great. It's clearly of its time. It's not as polished or as clean, as crisp as CG. But then again, would CG really even make you believe it anymore? Because when I'm watching it, and I was in bed going, "Whoa, here he is again! Oh God, no!" And he's fucking horrible. He's so horrible. And you hear him chattering as well. You hear him. He breathes fast, and he does speak. You can't really tell what he's saying. But the voice is done by Frank Welker. Frank Welker! It's Fred from Scooby-Doo, and other voices from Scooby-Doo. It's Fred Welker doing the voice, which is mainly just pure pedo. I tell you, when he first arrives at the house, General arrives at the same time. There's a bit of continuity here. It's a fucking anthology. What do you expect? The cat's gone cross-country, using all sorts of transport to get there. From a psychic call from a little girl. Suspend your disbelief. And but at the same time as the cat is driving down the main road outside their house, and the cat sort of realises it and jumps off the back of this little pickup truck and runs back up the road. At the same time that's happening, you're looking from the point of view of this little troll out across the road in the forest, and he's like running around from tree to tree, and it's like the Evil Dead, the point of view shot, the camera's swooping through. Really works well. And he runs up to a tree and he's looking around it, and it's obviously morning time and the sun's blazing down there, and the dad and little Drew Barrymore hosing down the car and having a bit of a laugh and joke. And this is pure predatory bloody pedo stuff, to be honest. The fucking little troll runs up and he's there on the lawn, and he sees little Drew Barrymore, and he's like you don't see his face, but you can hear him, and you can imagine it's like and he gets into the house. Oh God, I'm getting on there just talking about it. And it is done in a kind of like a bit of a panto jokey sort of fashion, and yet it is genuinely bloody creepy. So he infiltrates and invades their house, and then the bedroom of a little girl who's about 6 years old, if that. That's not good, is it? And he lives in the skating board, as I say. Now, she's apparently had nightmares about this thing. She's told her mum and dad, and they're like, "Oh, the monsters don't really exist." Mums and dads, we're full of shit, aren't we? Of course they exist! They're everywhere! And but General arrives at the same time, and the mother doesn't like the cat, so the cat gets put out. But that first night, this little bastard comes out, and she's asleep, and you can hear him running round behind the skating boards, and the camera just pans through an amalgamation of dolls propped up against the skating board, as if maybe that's a protection to keep the skating board closed so he can't come through, and like a chest of drawers and some toys. So the camera just follows, and you hear like as he's going through, and it's fucking horrible. It's funny, but it's horrible at the same time. A bit like the hand in Evil Dead 2. You can hear it go, "Fuck you," because it does swear at Ash, doesn't it? And but a great thing is that when he finds a clear patch of the you can't see him at this stage. You haven't seen him at this point, and the skating board's just clear. There's nothing obstructing it. From behind, whatever mystical powers he has, he pulls. You don't see him do it. The skating board just folds inwards, like, and then you see in the shadows these two glowing eyes, and he comes out with his little jester hat on, like, and his little fucking dagger. Oh God Almighty! And like, he might trip over a toy, kick it aside, and he climbs up the bed sheets, gets on, and gets across the duvet and all that, like, and she's there, and he comes up gently. It's all like compositing shots. Blatantly obvious, but it still works. And he pinches her nose, and she goes, ah, ah, and then her breath issues out, and you go, he's stealing her breath. Like the very fear that Candy Clark and her Eastern European mother have their superstition about cats stealing the breath from kids while they sleep. It's not cats, it's trolls. And it's fucking creepy, but the cat gets in and they have a battle. But the thing, the troll, there's a budgie. She's got a budgie. And the budgie knows as well, oh, this is even worse. As this first night's attack takes place, like, you can hear it behind the skating board, and like, but it cuts to inside the budgie cage with a little cover on it because it's night time. Budgie, go to sleep now, and it's night time. So the budgie's just sitting there on his perch, like, and you can hear it, and he's going, because something out there is not nice. And then this bastard climbs up into the bird cage, and he pulls the little curtain back, and you see his hands just go and tear the bars apart. This fucking budgie's like, shit! He gets him, and from outside you see blood and feathers coming out. Oh, fuck. But the cat gets in, and the cat scares him, frightens him, battles him briefly, and the little bastard skewers the cat with his little daggery sword. And the cat, but the cat does scare him off. Parents are woken by the commotion, and they come in, and of course there's the overturned, bird cage, blood, feathers everywhere. There's the cat. The cat, I said this, he's a killer, he's killed the bird. And like, of course, Drew Barrymore's all mortified. Cat gets fucking booted out, like, but no, it wasn't. General, save me from the monster, the troll. And they go like, troll, yeah, really. And they find blood all over the place because the cat's been bleeding, that's why, because he stabbed the cat. So the next day, poor old Drew Barrymore, as traumatised as she is, still gets booted off to school. That big school bus turns up outside the house. That's the thing I love about American movies, is that there's always like the big yellow school bus which pulls up outside your house. We never got a fucking school bus taking me to school. Never got that. That's a fucking trek miles with the snow and the ice. Wind, blizzards, torrential downfalls of rain, potential predators on every street corner, winos and pissheads. So that was just a school kid, sorry. But, we didn't get a school bus coming up outside your house. Goodbye, Mum, goodbye, Dad, and you trot off. Whoosh, hydraulics, off you go. Didn't get that shit. Anyway, off she goes. Candy Clark's like, look, you little fairy bastard, you're going. And she lures him in with a tin of tuna, puts him in a fucking box, and carts him off to the pound. And straight away, you see this on a big stormy night. The attendant comes in, there's all the cages full of animals. And if you're an animal lover like me, you just discourage, oh no, don't do this. But General's in the cage, and he's like fucking lying there. He's watching what's happening, and then faking it, going like, oh. Because this attendant comes in and goes like, and he puts a termination sticker on the cage. It's like, sorry mate, but it's your last day. It's your last supper. But the cat's been watching all this shit going on. Like, you open the door and you put the food in. So he opens the door. A fucking cat, like, poof, cat-like reflexes, shoots out of there and out through the door, and then with a big heroic flourish of Alan Silvestri's heroic theme, dun, 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 dun. Back to the Future. Yes, it's very similar, isn't it? And he let through the thunderstorm. It's a thunderstorm, of course it is. Legs it back to the house. This fucking little bastard's come out again, like, and now he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. You fucking cat got in the way last time, but now he's gone. So he's there. Bastard gets up there again, and he's pinching the nose and getting the breath. But in the meantime, he's put like a door jamb underneath the bedroom door. There we are. Let's get into some of this. This is the Trolls theme. It's kind of like throaty. And anyway, he's put this jaw jam in so the parents can't get in because they keep waking up every night. Oh God, what was that? Because it's just commotion in the daughter's bedroom. Fucking hell, here we go again. And he's there. He's about to cause some bedlam and steal some breath. He is getting the breath. You do see a little visual effect of the breath coming out. It's a bit bizarre. She begins to choke as well. Like, but surely once you start breathing again, you're all right. So I don't know how this really works. And why does he want the breath? Does the breath keep him alive? Is he? What does the troll want from it? Do trolls only pick on little kids? And they use cats as their scapegoat, their scape cat? You know, they'll give the blame to them. You know, so superstition will be like cats steal breath, and we'll get away with it. But why not go for like some sort of snoring alcoholic who's really and like giving it loads? Because Christ, they get a month full in one night session, and probably have a better time on it as well. Get a high off that one. But anyway, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. There's no sort of poetry or rhyme and reason to it. No sort of supernatural rules, but it just is what it is. It's a troll nicking the breath from Drew Barrymore. And he's doing the same again. And the cat gets in, manages to find a way and save the day. Big battle ensues. This is the cat, legging it back and coming in to save the day. And this skirmish ensues, and he's battering this fucking troll. He's running about and screaming and hollering, and commotion everywhere because of that door jam. Mum and Dad are really shite at breaking down doors, and then poof, they're taking it in turns to shoulder barge the door. It takes them ages to get in there, and the troll, actually, there's some balloons, about 5 or 6 balloons. Oh my God, how many more references do we need? And the troll just lifts up on these and he's going, and the cat's fucking jumping up, scratching his feet, and he's going, lifts his little horrible paws, his little, I don't know, mutated bloody toe claws out the way of the cat, and it's jumping up, hissing at him, and balloons burst, and he lands on the record player, and the cat jumps up to get him again and turns the record player on. What are they playing? Every Breath You Take by the Police. Only it's not the original Police version. It is actually a cover version of Every Breath You Take by Sting himself, who is the main singer. And but it's his cover version, and the cat flips it onto higher speeds, and it's spinning round, and this fucking troll's like that, and his fucking bells are blowing on it. It's like, whoa! And it's pure Tom and Jerry. And then the cat stops it, and the fucking thing flies off, and there's a great big one of them sort of huge bloody fans to keep you cool at night, and it goes straight through the grill work of that and gets fucking minced. Whoosh! Little horrible giblety bits of troll innards all over the place. Mum and Dad finally break the door down. Fucking crap are they, you know? And they see carnage everywhere, and Drew Barrymore's like, he only took about 2 breaths from it, so why is she all gasping? But General, save me from the monster. And they're going like, oh, there's that cat again. How did that cat get back here? Candy Clark's like, I took you to the pound. How did you get back here again? Like, you little fairy shit. And blood everywhere. But what's this monster on about? And they see all these bits of carnage. He's in there. General sends him into that, and he's all been mushed. And they look at him like that. And there's evidence there. In fact, there's a little arm. There's a little arm on the deck, and a little leg, and all guts and innards. And they find a little sword as well, and you can see the dad's thinking like the cut that was on the cat, because they'd seen the cut on the cat, and they thought that it was the bird. You know, the bird got one final, peck on him, and as the dad says, like, got quite a pecker on him, and they thought it was a self-defense thing, and he's like, that's done that, and you're like, oh, they've sussed it now, and they look at the skating board, and the dad goes, was there any more of them? I only saw the one, So the cat saved the day, the cat saved the daughter, and the cat can stay. General's at home. Wonderful stuff. She christens him General, by the way. You don't hear his name any other time before that. She calls him General. But then they do like a little sort of sly sort of ending to it. The troll's gone, everyone's happy, and she's all asleep in bed. And then with some rather sinister, I wonder if we've got it here. This is the sort of nice denouement which Silvestri puts in there. But as the night wears on, the cat's got a huge, one of these almost huge Tom and Jerry style fish things, where it's just a great big fish head and a fish tail and just all bones like that. But it's fucking huge, and it's on a little dish, and the cat's like, what now? Starts padding round the house. His new domain. I own this place now. I'm the hero. And he pads up the stairs and he goes to Amanda's room and he leaps on the bed. And no composite shots here. And he's like stalking towards her slowly. And Silvestri's music is a bit mysterioso. What's he going to do? And her face is there, angelically just snoozing. And he comes up close to her face. And you're like, oh my God. Is he actually going to start stealing her breath? Like Candy Clark's mother always foretold? Oh no, was the troll actually the best thing to have been in there? The cat's even worse. And Silvestri's music really sells this moment. You're like, no, surely he can't be a bastard. No, he's done everything so well so far. And then that little sandpapery tongue comes out and gives her a little lick. Sorry about that, folks. Didn't mean to show that tongue off there. But gives her a lick and she goes, oh, General. And it's all lovey-dovey, which you should hear any second. He's actually alright. And you know what? The film's way better than I really gave it credit for. I've gone OTT on that final story because that's the best one. That's the horror story. It's the supernatural one. It's the one you'd expect to see in a Stephen King sort of anthology. But the other two stories are still very in keeping with King because they do deal with like people's psychosis and fears and phobias and despicable bastards who will use and abuse that. And they're nice little self-contained stories. Critters Inc. is still very good. It's harsh. I'd say The Ledge is actually perhaps better because it's just more. It's a lot more enjoyable. There's a lot more sort of suspense to it, I think. So I get a kick out of that. But obviously, the troll is just the best, and he's such a little deviant. He's fucking horrible, and it's the Fred Welker noises. And it's like, it's skin pricklingly awful, but he's so great. I tried to find some troll figures, which I have got in the attic. As you know, it's a treasure trove up there. Well, got 2 attics and a loft and all sorts of other rooms. And there's stuff everywhere, and there's figures and things from yesteryear all over the place. And I know we've got little troll figures, and but could I find them? Could I be arsed looking? No. It's not that I couldn't find them, I just couldn't look. So I found some of these things, which were the same sort of size as this little bastard. And but he's genius. In a way, I'm not saying I want a remake of Cat's Eye. I do not. Don't remake those stories, just tell a different story. But what I'd love is to learn more about that troll and his particular sort of race, what they're up to, where he came from. I know I shouldn't be saying that because I'm the biggest one to go like, oh, we don't need a prequel, you don't need a sidequel, you don't need a sequel, you don't need a spin-off. But I want to know more about him. I want to know what their rules are. He's the sort of thing you'd see in Hellboy. Oh, there's Hellboy right there. The sort of thing you'd see in Hellboy. No, I hate these guys, you know. I mean, whatever they're up to, whatever their political agenda is for the troll race. And it could be some kind of, I don't know, real right-wing fucking offshoot. But it's great. He's a great little character. I'd love a figure of him. I would love that. But Silvestri's score, thanks to Intrada. Been playing this. Intrada put this out a while ago. They re-released it, and it's absolutely fantastic score. You hear that? That's the cat scampering. And that's like a main sort of recurring motif throughout the score, throughout all 3 stories. And then you get the heroic motif. You can see where Back to the Future played a part in this, or this played a part in Back to the Future. Certainly cut from the same cloth, or tapped on the same keys. But one final thing. Cat's Eye ended with a proper 80s synth ballad, which is not on the score that Intrada put out, because they probably couldn't get the rights for it. But I'm going to play it because I loved it as a kid, and I still find it incredibly catchy now. I forget now who sings it, but here you are. This is the end credits. It's pure 80s cheese, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can hear synclavier in there. That glacial tone of synclavier. Pure 80s, isn't it? You know, that takes no expertise at all. I love this, you know. There's a huge amount of cheese that runs through me. Punchy. Women with big hair, swept back at the sides and spiked up at the top. Big shoulder pads dancing, short skirts on, whopping big stilettos, sequins and shimmery stockings and tights. Calm down, calm down. That's what I miss about the 80s. Women on dance floors just look so fucking attractive. Everyone goes on about like, oh, they wore suits and stuff like that. No, they fucking did. But they wore a lot of nylon and lycra and boots. Every breath that I take, you see, it's clearly structured around it. How awesome's that? But let's get back to anyway. So the film starts off with a close-up of a cat asleep, and then the eye in sort of fluttery slow motion just goes opens. It's a lot more exciting when you watch it in the movie than what I just did there, but this score by Silvestri is great. It seems very simplistic and innocent in its glacial tones, and it's kind of like one-stop shop with a synclavier. But there's so much beauty and melody to it it is of its time, and that sound of drum pads as well, and the stingers and all that. But I love it. I love it. Again, as I've just said about that song, that end credit song, Cat's Eye. It's pure 80s, and the film is very pure 80s, and there is nothing wrong with that. It's wonderful. Listen to this. That's the cat scampering motif. He's darting all over the place. This is where cars are colliding and he's running past. It's a great shot, that, actually. There's two cars hit, spin round, and he runs in slow motion, just avoiding the collision. And you've got the fucking Cujo's after him. Christine's after him. Folks, anyway, I have been always shabby Kilt-Man. That was a little blast down memory lane to the 80s, and I can't call it a cult favourite, but people do tend to go, oh, Cat's Eye, oh, it's great, that one. Is this Stephen King? Anyway, everyone goes, how many stories were there? And they can't remember, but they always remember the troll. They always remember that. The weird thing is, if you watch it now, you may well find that you got a newfound recognition or a new response and acclaim for Critters Inc. and The Ledge, because they are so dark-hearted and so mean-spirited that it's like, shit, that's really sinister. And you don't really get those kind of tales being told now in that way. The 70s and the 80s really rocked with like nasty, horrible bastards doing horrible things to other people, but in a kind of a playful sort of manner, where, you know, you can't be too frightened by it, but in reality it'd be fucking horrendous what they're doing. Horrendous. It kind of ties in with Creepshow in many ways, especially like The Ledge, because where in Creepshow you've got, is it they're creeping? No, it's not creeping up on you. What is it now? What's the one with Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson and Galen Ross from Dawn of the Dead, where he buries them up to their heads in sand, and they come back as watery zombies. Great Tom Savini effects there. And then they drag him out there, Leslie Nielsen, and bury him up there as well. What's that one called? It's not called Hold Your Breath. What's it called? Oh, that's gonna piss me off, that now. I know all these things inside out, and I've forgotten the name of that. No, whatever. But you know what I mean. But these two, Critters Inc. and The Ledge, kind of harken, especially The Ledge, to that story. So it's very Stephen King as well. I just completely embraces that 80s and 70s nihilistic mentality, but done in a playful manner. So we're laughing at it, but we're also like, ooh, that's sick, you know. Folks, anyway, please keep it kilted. So, in the meantime, in this ever anthological feline in-between time, keep a cat's eye on it, and I'm going to see you all later for some catnip and maybe something else.